So this is my progress report presentation for my final technical report. The topic I chose to write about for my final technical report was feedlots versus rotational grazing and which best fits the farmer's needs. So the purpose of my report is to inform the auditor of potential benefits and drawbacks of feedlot and rotational grazing operations. The report should help the auditor get a better feel for what kind of operation will work best for their needs. So this is a little bit of background on both feedlots and rotational grazing systems. So feedlots contain cattle in confined areas. These cattle are fed unnatural grain-based diets to maximize their daily weight gain. Typically, the average weight gain in a feedlot is 3 pounds per day. Drawbacks that are associated with feedlots include the fact that large amounts of animal waste are present due to the large amount of animals in such a confined area. This can cause negative environmental impacts on the surrounding communities and ecosystems. It also requires a huge amount of money to begin a feedlot. And for rotational grazing, rotational grazing focuses to keep grass in its most vigorous growth stage. This is typically done by rotating cattle between pastures every day or every few days. This method of raising cattle is also very good for the land, and no additional fertilization is required. There's a lower daily weight gain compared to feedlots. It's roughly 2 pounds per day, and which means that it takes more time for the cattle to reach slaughter weight. In the way today's markets are, it's very hard for farmers to make any money, so it's very important that farmers are very efficient and they spend their money wisely. So my audience, the intended audience for my report is readers of UK's Ag Newsletter, more specifically readers of UK's Ag Newsletter that are involved in the beef cattle farming industry or are interested in starting a beef cattle operation in the state of Kentucky. The importance with the location is that different operations work better depending on where you are in the world or in the country. The reader would be interested in reading this report so that they could get a better understanding of the two types of operations and determine which will allow them for the potential of a higher profit in their geographical area. So this is my timeline and my Gantt chart. As you can see, I started all of my projects, or all the parts of this project after I originally had planned. This was mainly due to COVID-19 and the fact that we had no more late penalties. So I ended up waiting till pretty much the last week to start this project. Thankfully, I've done previous research on this topic for other classes. So far, for this project, I've completed my proposal and also the rough draft of my final technical report. Through the research I've completed so far, I've learned that many people like to make false claims about the ethics of feedlots. Feedlots have always been a highly debated topic. Many people that oppose feedlots actually make false claims to impose a negative view on the industry. A lot of times these false claims can be very easily contradicted by science, and they're very easy to prove wrong. So I still have a little bit more research that I need to complete so that I can wrap up my closing thoughts on my report. And I would also like to do a little more research so that I can expand upon a few discussion points that I felt I was lacking adequate information on. So I would really appreciate any feedback that you all have. I would love to know if you all find this report interesting, or if this would be something that you would be interested in reading about. I know I definitely would. So, and also, do you all think that I've chosen an effective auditor to have in mind when I'm composing my report. What do you all think about the scope of my project? Do you think it's too broad or too narrow? Please let me know if you have any additional feedback. Thank you for listening.